390, I've had it, I've benchmarked it, now I have a chance to review it. I'm not going to do a very long-winded review of it. I'm going to do a very simple one. I'm going to talk about the benchmarks compared to the 970 because that's where the price point lies, is in the 970. The 970 goes for about $350 American and Canadian about $450. 390 goes for about $350 American or about $430 Canadian. So let's get right into a couple things. First off, it delivers more heat because it is using a souped up 290 Hawaii chip. Heat is your issue and power is your issue. Go for the 970. Just gonna say that right now. If they don't matter much to you and you don't care that much and you have good cooling and it's adequate, then go for the 390. And the reason I say that is because the 390 is the better card at 1440 and 4K. The 970 is a better card at 1080. Benchmark wise, for 1080, the 390 for Witcher 3 gets 53.8, well the 970 gets 56. The Battlefield 4, 74.1, 74.6 for the 970. 75.1, 71.4 for the 970. The Crysis 3 actually wins in AMD's favor. Unity, 51.6 for the 390 and 51.7 for the 970. 0.1% of a frame higher on the 970. Far Cry 4 gets 82.1 and the 970 gets 77.4, which is weird, but it is how it is. I think it definitely comes from the 8 gigs of VRAM. Rise Son of Rome gets 76.6 and the 970 gets 65.1. Shadow of Mordor 95.2 and 80.8, and Tomb Raider 100.4 and 970 gets 102.4. Tomb Raider is supposed to be an AMD and optimized game. Again, this I think really comes down to the more recent drivers and how NVIDIA does have more mature drivers, but neither here nor there. The AMD card has a 512-bit memory interface, while the NVIDIA card using Maxwell is 256-bit. Really, this card should be put against a 980, but neither here nor there. Where the card really begins to shine, though, is in 1440p and 4K territory. The reason why I mention this is very simple. The Witcher 3 gets 40.3 for the 390 and 39.2 for on the 970. It gets worse from here. Battlefield 4, 51.7 versus 48.9. Crysis 3, 48.7 versus 43. Unity, 35.5, 32.8. Far Cry 4, 64.7, 53.9. Rise, 57.5, 46.3. Shadow of Mordor, 69.2, 57. And finally, Tomb Raider Ultimate gets 69 versus 65.5 for the 970. And at 4K, it just takes it away. The Witcher 3, 26.8 versus 22.8. Battlefield 4, 42.3 versus 39.5. Crysis 3, 38.5 versus 31.9. Unity, 21 versus 18.4. Far Cry 4, 40.8 versus 30. Rise, 35 versus 25.7. Shadow of Mordor, 43.8 versus 35.3. Finally, Tomb Raider, 46.6 versus 39. The peak system draw of the 390 is 447 watts, overclocked 486 watts. The 970 is 277 watts versus overclocked of 291 watts. Very simply put, the 390 again will take more power, but it puts more out when you're doing higher end frame rates or higher end resolution. And the performance shows at that. Again, so analysis wise, if you want a cheap card or if you want a cheaper card, go for a 390. If you want a card that's a bit more pricier, go for the 970. If you want a card that you don't care much about the heat, go for the 970. If you want a card that you want the 8 gig VRAM buffer, go for the 390. 390 is the better card overall. It's best bang for your buck. And because you have that 8 gigs of fully usable 512-bit bus on it of the 8 gig VRAM, you're going to be a lot happier with it versus the 970, which has 3.5 usable with that 500 megabytes of non-usable VRAM or slower VRAM. I've done my benchmarks on it, and I have to say that this is a great card, and it's on par. If you overclock it, you get on par with the 980. So there you go. That's all I have to say on it. Hope you enjoyed my review, and a little bit of information on it. It has 2560 stream processors, 40 compute units, clock speed of 1 gigahertz, texture units of 160, ROPS of 64, 8 gigs of GDDR5, 512-bit interface, 6 gigabytes per second, TDP of 275, and fabrication is 28 nanometers. The pricing for it is around 250, 270 euros, and it's ballpark of the GTX 970 money with highly competitive performance and double the RAM, all of it running at the same high speed, unlike the 970 strange split pool memory setup. So there you go. That's the review of it. My card gets, temperature-wise, gets about, let's say, 80 degrees Celsius on max load, and sits around 40 to 60 on most games. So games like Crysis, Far Cry 4, and Furmark, and benchmarks of things, you're looking at 80-ish degrees Celsius, which is fine. I'd like to lower it a bit, but there you go. That's a review of it.